here in Australia. He was at a Christian event. Picture this, at a Christian event, a man who's in charge of a ministry that talks about the sort of the juncture, I guess, between Christian faith and politics. He's giving a talk and he begins by saying, and I think this is correct, he can correct me if I'm getting off track here, that, you know, he's not going to do acknowledgement of countries, that in his belief, and I think actually also in reality, these acknowledgement of country ceremonies and the welcome to country ceremonies are in fact pagan-inspired acts. They are, you know, they are pagan-inspired acts, and David can explain that a little bit more when we bring him on. But his belief was, and again I think rightly so, that these are anti-Christian, anti-biblical ceremonies that we performed, and he was just not going to tolerate that at this Christian event. Now, for that, someone raised a complaint, took it to the Queensland Anti-Discrimination Commission. There are a lot of meetings, as I understand it, back and forth, you know, attempts at mediation, you know, deferral of due dates for the complainant, but eventually it all fizzled away. But that was after a lot of headache, heartache, toll, and possibly unwanted media attention. Some of it probably wanted to just show how faith and free speech were under attack in this country. Nonetheless, David walked out of that, you know, not having to apologise, not having to offer compensation. It would have been interesting to see what happened and where the law was if that did drag on for a while. So, David, welcome to the live stream. Good to see you here. And mate, tell us if I've got any part of that story wrong, for starters.
Thank you very much for having me, George. So yeah, I guess the essence of the story that people most usually get wrong is that you know, some kind of complaint that I essentially what they think is that the complaint was that I didn't do a welcome to country. And the fact is that what I did do was a welcome to God, and read scripture that says the earth is the Lord's and everything in it. And the complaint, or where somebody chose to take offense, was when I was asked at the end of the night why I did that and why I wasn't worried about hurting people's feelings. And my answer was a full explanation of the doctrine that Aboriginal religion is incompatible with Christianity.
So actually, it wasn't even you just saying it, you're not doing it, and here's why. It was actually you responding to a question that was actually put to you, which makes it even, in my mind, less of an issue. I mean, if you're asked, hey,
yeah,
you're going to get an answer. If you don't like the answer, don't ask the question.
That's right. You know, but I mean, I actually feel sorry for the gentleman who complained. I think he's been, like so many others, not uniquely, been trained to have very thin skin. He's very easily bruised, very easily hurt. And we've got a society of snowflakes, people who melt down when they come across an unapproved opinion. When the people who can't distinguish between their identity and their ideas. And if somebody criticizes Christianity, I mean, this is the reality is go to town. Christians are well and truly used to being criticized, mocked, ridiculed. People make fun of nuns and all kinds of horrendous slurs about priests. And certainly Jesus is mocked incessantly. If we had thin skin, there'd be no end of complaints. Or if it was illegal to criticize and hurt Christians or Christian feeling, then the courts would be absolutely jammed and overflowing. But you know, it is an abusive system and judicial processes, and it's very anti-democratic altogether.
All right, we just got a bit of a technical issue here. One of the listeners has just said that my sound is distorted, so we might have a microphone issue there. Can someone just tell me whether that's distorted or not, or whether it's all good now?
Any feedback there? Give us the comments. Well, if my sound's all right, we can just have me talk.
You
all
can
night.
talk for the whole show. That's good. Okay, I think we're good. But anyway, look, let's go on. What I really wanted to talk to you though, Dave. I mean, that went away, that entire thing, because the person just didn't proceed with it.
Well, it's more complicated than that. The system was really well abused. I mean, the system is there basically grooming people to complain who have no legitimate complaint. If the human rights commissions in each state and federally don't actually provide any kind of test or qualification for if a complaint should be accepted, other than has a complaint been made and do we handle that type of complaint. And so everything is accepted, and the person that is the subject of the complaint is forced, and who knows what the penalties are, but essentially they're forced to go into mandatory conciliation. You have to take time off work, you have to get legal advice, there's all kinds of potential jeopardies that go on here. So for you and me, when we get in trouble like this, we're essentially well across the topic and the issues and the rights, and there's lots of friends in media and law, but the average person, this would be truly traumatizing and upsetting for, alarming, and even when we get under attack like this, it's not something our wives enjoy.
No.
So the process is abusive and is open to be abused.
So let me cut in there and just ask you a question that's actually been put forward by Catherine. She says, why isn't there judicial discretion to eradicate such abuse of the system? Now, before you answer that was exactly what the CitizenGO petition that we ran when your case was actually live. And there was the threat that you could have actually been forced to recant or forced to apologise or forced to pay some recompense for what you said. We were asking the minister to exercise discretion, and we were also asking them to actually start weeding out these, what we thought were vexatious claims. My question is, along with Catherine's, that why isn't there judicial discretion about this? Is that I see it as a vexatious claim, you see it as a vexatious claim. I wonder whether the system sees it as a vexatious claim, or if these are the kind of claims that could potentially be upheld.
Well, both is true. It really could be. I mean, vexatious complaints are upheld. We know a good friend, Bernie Gaynor, is consistently assailed and abused by a vexatious complainant, a serial, litigious, vexatious complainant, cross-jurisdictional. There's nowhere safe, and he does it only to be an activist and make points. Out of dozens of complaints, none have ever been successful. They've been successfully defended over and over and over again, and so they're always being accepted. If there was any appetite to unclog the kangaroo courts and the judicial system and not let the law be weaponized against people, there's so many easy ones to dismiss. It truly is a perversion of justice that they get accepted and progressed, and money has to be spent on lawyers. Significant amounts of money has to be spent that would be unaffordable for most people without fundraising. It was unaffordable for me. I mean, we got rid of it quickly and it was still unaffordable, and we managed to raise a lot more money than we needed for the defense of other people. And I have to make sure we give due acknowledgement to John Steenhoff and the Human Rights Law Alliance. The people at HRLA are a real shield against the weaponization of law to help defend innocent people.
Yeah. So Catherine actually writes another interesting post here. She had of a comedian, and I think it's Isaac Butterfield. I'm not 100% sure, but I think it is. It was taken to the Queensland Human Rights Commission for a show in New South Wales, in which the complainant wasn't even in the show. That's how ridiculous the system is. So I actually don't think it's a... People look at that and say, well, that's a vexatious complaint, but I actually think it's a vexatious system. And I go back to Archbishop Julian Porteous of the Catholic Church and the Diocese of Hobart, Archdiocese of Hobart, down there in Tasmania, who put out a pamphlet as a Catholic bishop, putting out a pamphlet on the Catholic Church's teaching on marriage to Catholic school students to take home to their parents, right?
Yeah.
So I don't see anything wrong with this picture. And yet a complainant took him to the Tasmanian Anti-discrimination Tribunal. They withdrew it because it got a lot of heat in the press. It just sounded so ridiculous that you're going to take a Catholic prelate, you know, to a jumped up kangaroo court for actually espousing Catholic teaching.
Yeah.
But actually the commissioner of the tribunal said something to the effect of that she wished the complainant had continued on the case because she think that there was a case to actually answer for. That, to me, just shows you that the whole system of this anti-discrimination stuff is vexatious. And I actually think, David, it is getting worse and worse as time goes on, because hate laws are now being put in place that move the goalposts in a certain direction. We've got now the prospect of a national anti-hate database. We've got the prospect of the recent report from the special envoy to combat Islamophobia that the Albanese government appointed, releasing a report with a bunch of recommendations that are going to clamp down further on speech and actually put religion, or one religion, Islam, on the same basis as race is when it comes to speech. So you say something that attacks Islam, you're going to be in trouble.
Yeah. There's an actual phobia going on here, which is very observable, and every viewer is going to know that this is widespread on the left and in these protected identity groups. It's a real phobia, George. It's called alethophobia. Now, aletheia is the Greek word for truth. When Scripture talks about the truth, Jesus is the way, the truth, the life, etc. The Greek word is aletheia, and it means a constant, fixed, objective truth that goes on. Alethophobia is a pathological fear and hatred of and fear of the truth, which is exactly what's going on here in society. You have people who are afraid of the truth. And so you have the whole discrimination or anti-discrimination industry, which is sanctifying feelings and profaning truth. So the truth doesn't matter. The pursuit of truth doesn't matter. The interests of debate in democracy can be trampled and transgressed, and they can be sacrificed because truth is something that's either not valued, or worse, something we're actually afraid of facing in society, because that might actually hurt somebody's feelings. And so in the interest of sanctifying feelings, so we've got this whole humanist, godless, idolatrous religion, which says God's truth doesn't matter, Christian truth doesn't matter, Bible truth doesn't matter, objective truth, aletheia, doesn't matter. And you have these alethophobics who are they're just obsessed with weaponizing the legal system to punish truth tellers and to sanctify feelings, making feelings the thing that is must be protected at any cost. You would have thought in a democracy, truth must be protected at any cost. The thing that we need the most, the thing that we can't live without being hurt is truth. But no, the anti-discrimination industry says the thing that matters most, the thing that can never be hurt, is feelings.
Well, look, that's very interesting. I never heard of that. Alethophobia.
Alethophobia.
Alethophobia. You're going to have to start calling people alethophobics. They call us what? Homophobics, transphobics, and Islamophobics. And indeed, I want to plug right now a CitizenGO petition. If you're watching and you are concerned about the direction that this anti-discrimination industry is going in, the regime that's building up around us with hate speech and all the rest of it, please go and have a read of what the Albanese government could actually adopt. This special envoy that they call him, the special envoy to combat Islamophobia, produced a report with a series of recommendations that actually elevates Islam to the same status as, say, race. So if you said something that was against Islam, you suddenly could find yourself in a lot of trouble before an anti-discrimination tribunal. And it's quite extensive what they've proposed. They also want to push, a pro-Islam sort of ideology in schools and through the media. This is bizarre sort of stuff. But anyway, it's being pushed. Please go to censorshipbyislam.com and sign the petition. Have a read of what we've done and what we're petitioning Anthony Albanese for, and that is to simply reject the report and recommendations that have been put forward by the special envoy to combat Islamophobia, and any other move that actually does similar things. David, specifically on this, are you concerned about what's in that report, and that we are going to get to the stage where Christian pastors perhaps aren't able to actually proselytize to Muslims, aren't able, that is, try to convert Muslims to Christianity, aren't able to speak out about what they see to be the defects of Islam versus Christianity? Is that where we're going?
Absolutely. I mean, if I can be dragged before an anti-discrimination human rights commission against my will with no facts or evidential basis for saying, hurting somebody's feelings because I say Aboriginal religion is incompatible with Christianity, guess what happens when Islam becomes protected? The ideas. I mean, Islam explicitly contradicts what Scripture says. The Scripture says that Jesus was crucified and resurrected from the dead, died for our sins, ascended into heaven. Islam, the Quran, says that that's all a lie. And God is the greatest tricker ever, and he was only doing this enormous bluff and tricking everybody and it was somebody else that got Jesus. Islam says Jesus was never Christian. How can a Christian pastor not refute, debate, and criticize this religion which so explicitly contradicts Christianity? It's on the basis of it, it's obviously incompatible, but worse, it's historically ignorant. Like 600 years after all of these things were well documented, along comes Muhammad and says, actually, the way history has been recorded and all the eyewitnesses remember it, they're wrong and I'm right, and everything Jesus complained and his disciples, everything Jesus claimed and his disciples witnessed is wrong. I mean, yeah, these laws are being set up in a way that is seeking to make Christianity neutered and unable to preach the truth. And again, we've just got people who are afraid of debate, trying to weaponize laws to criminalize Christianity.
Yeah, look, I completely agree with what you said there. So again, censorshipbyislam.com if you want to get behind that campaign. But look, it's not the only area where we've got to be concerned about free speech and free speech and faith, the free expression of faith. So we know the story about Billboard Chris. Again, he won that case through the courts, mind you. Billboard Chris was wearing his traditional, trademark billboard, where he had written on it something about kids should not be given gender blockers or puberty blockers or puberty blockers.
Children can't consent.
Yeah, that was it. And so we had our e-safety commissioner, the Karen, get involved and try to take down his post off Facebook, and the Post was having a crack at one of the activists, mind you, that was actually on a board or on some committee task force with the World Health Organization, and was basically saying, have a look at the activist person that we've got, trying to make World Health Organization policy on transgender kids. So we have been after the e-safety commissioner for some time.
Yeah, brilliant.
And I just got to show these people. We went down to Canberra the other day and we took some protest material down there. Fire the E-Karen. Some great work by our design team there in CitizenGO.
They are good.
And here's another one where it's got our e-safety commissioner busy censoring people on the internet. And look, that's all fun to create these little
with all
things
the surveillance system going on.
Not far off the truth, perhaps. But we took 12,800 signatures down there to Anthony Albanese and the communications minister. So that's really good. It's good when people get behind these petitions and we see some momentum like that. And we're going to keep on that because, one campaign is not enough. We just need to keep on putting pressure because as far as I'm concerned and as far as CitizenGO is concerned, the e-safety commissioner's office has just got to be abolished. It was started for a purpose that was good. And it's always like that. Get a foot in the door on this thing that seems really laudable. And it was about protecting kids from bullying online. So
it was actually sexual predators.
Yeah, and sexual predators.
It was actually designed to help crack down on the actually child exploitative material.
Yep. So where's it gone? Now it's gone to politics. And it's like, what the hell? How did something designed to protect kids end up becoming a censorship tool for the government?
Yep.
And so it's gone way off track. So it should just be abolished. Go and set up, if you want to protect kids, we'll have the Office of the Child Protection Online Authority or something like that, that can actually stop bullying of kids, can stop or go after predators of kids.
What if
this is rubbish.
What if we did with some of these top offices what Americans do and actually politicized these offices? So if we need to have the office, such as a human rights commissioner, such as a e-safety commissioner, what if we actually made them accountable to the people instead of protecting their jobs non-stop? Now, if the democracy and the population is corrupt and tyrannical, the office has still got too much power. But at the very least, if they were recognized to be a huge joke, if they had to campaign for their role against competitors, I mean, in America, they have elections for the head of the local pound. So I don't think we need to go all that way. But certainly these people who are unaccountable, highly paid bureaucrats shouldn't have impunity to abuse these offices and their power however they like, George.
Yeah, I look, that's one solution, is that we elect them to office. I guess that that's probably, in my view, a solution that's probably too far off and too estranged from the Australian democracy. So just getting rid of the office altogether is probably the simplest and easiest way to go.
I do like that.
So look, let's move on. Just before we do that, if you have a question for Dave, or indeed for me, now's your chance in the comments. Ask it, and we'll see what the response might be. But feel free. We're monitoring the questions and comments as they come up. Questions we'll put to Dave. So if the question, put a question mark after it, and we'll put it to Dave. Or if you want to direct it to me, I'm happy to have a go. But Dave, let's move on to another hot topic. A couple of blokes who we know at least one of them very well, Dr. Stephen Shavura and Dr. Stephen McInerney of Campion College. They are under attack from the left-wing media. What do you like to call the left-wing media? You got a term for it?
They are the lying harlot media.
The lying harlot.
The lying harlot media.
Why do you call them the lying harlot media?
Well, it's 100% defensible. It's not just an insult. It's accurate, because they are maliciously deceitful and they are professionally unfaithful, breaking the trust and good faith that the public put in them to stay pure and integrous in their conduct and virtue, their virtue is for sale. They're professionally unfaithful and maliciously deceitful. So they are the lying harlot media.
Yeah, look, I agree with you. It's a very good term. I just use the fake news legacy media because this is completely fake what they've done against these two gentlemen. They have, and they hide behind all these terms that journalists normally like to do, to write. But essentially, they're basically saying that these two guys, one of whom we know very, very well, top bloke, that they're Nazis or that they're Nazi adjacent, and that they're anything but. I mean, they put a very valid argument, right? That this is not an argument that CitizenGO is putting, but this is the argument that they've put forward. In this whole immigration debate, we have got an influx of immigrants from new countries, right? And what they are saying is that if you get too many people, and I'm probably not doing their real academic thoughts here justice by summarising it in this way, but they're basically saying if you get too many people from other cultures into Australia, it is not going to be the Australian nation, the Australian and the culture is going to change as a result of that. And that's true. I mean, our culture, the Australian culture, was made up of English, Irish, Scots, maybe some Welsh, not too many, but English, Irish, Scots, that's by and large probably 90% of Australian culture. And that melting of those people created the literature, created the bush poetry, created the songs, created the way of life, practically created the accent. I mean, the Aussie accent come from those people.
Yeah.
So to say that if you bring in a whole heap of people from other cultures, you are going to irreparably change the Australian culture and thus the Australian nation, to me, that's not a big leap of logic. But for the lying harlot media, it's Nazi adjacent. So they're running a campaign, the Sydney Morning Herald, running a campaign to get these two academics expelled from Campion College. That's essentially what they're doing. They're pressuring Campion with their editorial, their activism, to get these academics kicked out. That's a slap in the face for free speech. That's a slap in the face for academic freedom.
Yeah.
I know it doesn't have a great deal of intersection with faith, but I want your views. Well, tell me how you think it does.
Yeah. Look, well, for a start, this is a Christian university. And so for anybody looking for a place to send their kids for a tertiary education, a post-high school, undergraduate degree, please send them to Campion College. If the lying harlot media hates a university, that's a university that's safe to send your kids to. So Campion College, look, I've been a big fan of their work for a long time. And of course, the problem with the whole tertiary education con is that it's got no academic freedom. It's groupthink, echo chamber, zero critical thinking training, no actual comprehensive education. It's an indoctrination camp. And so you've got the lying harlot media activists manifesting their demons because these academics have dared to actually speak out against the indoctrination factories, which are called enormously taxpayer-funded higher education institutions. It's a huge con which robs Australians of value. I believe in higher education, but I just wish it was happening in these other institutions. But the two Stephens, Stephen Chavira and Stephen McInerney, are absolutely right. Multiculturalism is a really, really bad idea. Now, if we're only talking about music and diet, well, I'm a big fan of different cultures. But if we're talking that it's actually a set of behaviors and ideas and values, as well as the meaningless fluff like diet and music and apparel, dress, well, you can't have a multi-value system if you have mutually exclusive values. If your values are, well, we say that truth is objective and important, and the 10 Commandments and the kind of Christian ethic which values women and children and changed the barbarian and pagan world. You had the Roman, the kind of cruelty and human rights abuses that went on everywhere before Christianity became ascendant in cultural dominance. It was good to end those practices. Christianity as a basis for society is fantastic. It's solid. And multiculturalism says, well, maybe other cultures, like, well, let's use the ancient world, the ancient Roman world, where the father had the right of life and death over everyone in his household. The Roman world where infanticide, infant exposure, if your child was disabled or unwanted or the wrong gender, you could actually take your living born child and leave it out in the wild for animals or elements to kill it. Well, multiculturalism says both of those value systems have equal value and all cultures are equal. Well, what a load of incoherent rubbish that's unsuitable for democracy. Mm-hmm. And so thanks to the Howard government, which turned our mass migration, which was good for the rebuilding of Australia after World War II, from predominantly Christian European cultures to include massive numbers all of a sudden from Asia and the Middle East and Africa, culturally very different regions of the world. Well, that's going to introduce increasing instability as you go, as well as value systems which are very different to that which our nation was built on. Now, there's a small amount of which that can be absorbed and not make the wheels wobble. But when the balance is radically shifted, then you get massive wobbling going on. And of course, that's going to be bad for a value system, and B, a cultural cohesion, and C, the things that we've said are good for society. It's actually jeopardizing it all. So the lying harlot media is panicking because their philosophies, their worldviews, their systems of thinking, which says they hate truth. This comes back to alethiophobia. When you have a multicultural system, well, all ideas are equally valuable. All ideas could be true. There's your truth, there's my truth, there's Oprah's truth. And it's a system where they get to say whatever they want. They get to kill their babies. They get to mutilate children's genitals and suppress their growth hormones through puberty. They get to do all kinds of vile and damaging things because there's no such thing as absolute truth. Multiculturalism is the opposite of a truth-centric system. It again sanctifies feelings and diminishes the importance of truth. So, George, this attack on Shavura and McInerney is just these people desiring their authoritarian totalitarianism over the way we all think, and how dare we disagree with them.
Yeah, look, and there's a couple of questions that have come in that are a bit unrelated. I'll get to them in a minute. But what I want to say straight up is, if you want to protect these guys, they are under attack by the left-wing media. And it is causing, I know, because I know one of them personally, it's causing a great deal of toll and stress. I have no doubt it's causing a great deal of toll and stress on them because they've got a national media outlet that's basically trying to get them fired, trying to destroy their career. And really, we need to take action against this. So petitioncampion.com, you can go there, you can read about it, what's going on. You can read a petition to Campion College. It's quite a respectful petition because we're not attacking Campion College. That's what I want to say. Campion College is getting attacked by the left-wing media. And what they're attacking him for is because they won't sack Stephen Shavura and Stephen McInerney for expressing a view on immigration and multiculturalism that many Australians hold. And in fact, it's not extremist or it's not racist. It's not neo-Nazi or anything like that. It's not Nazi adjacent. It's simply a view. And boy, oh boy, if you can't hold views that the Sydney Morning Herald and the left-wing media oppose at a university campus, well, we know what's going to happen to them. This is a decidedly conservative, Christian, college, university college. So they're being targeted. We want to write to them to give them a bit of steel in their spine to reject what the left-wing media are trying to do to these two professors. So on to some of the questions. I'm just going to have a look.
If I can just jump in on that, George,
go
I think that's so important, that petition. We need to provide mountainous volumes of support to Campion College to do exactly what this petition is saying to do, is stand your ground, Campion, defend what's true, defend academic freedom. These guys are upholding your values, not opposing. I don't believe academic freedom is a blank check to violate truth, but these guys are doing the opposite. They're pursuing truth, promoting the freedom to have an important discussion about maintaining the values that Campion promotes better than any other university, perhaps in all of Australia. There's a few other Christian universities, but Campion's one of the best. And so please do sign this petition and share it with your friends, because we have lost the universities. If we lose Campion, the fight is over. If Campion cave and tell their professors, their lecturers, that they can't argue robust ideas which are counter to the culture, then well and truly the tertiary institutions, the higher education in Australia is totally captured by the Marxist liars and cultists in this nation. We absolutely have to have Campions back and show them the huge amount of support. I pray that this has been excellent for Campion's PR, that many more people will hear about it and ask for applications and information about sending their kids to Campion College in Sydney. I've been to the campus and visited it. It's new, it's privately funded, not enormously reliant on government and public money. This is the way higher education should be done, instead of the huge con job that the major universities are. So please do sign and share this petition. Okay, the question that I want to put to you, which is completely outside of the topics we're on, but interesting. What are Christian leaders doing to protect their congregations from the mark of the beast, digital ID implementation? Do you think, David, that the digital ID is that I don't know if I think it's the mark of the beast, but I certainly think it's not good. But are Christian leaders speaking up against this? Not enough. I think there's just, I mean, you put me in the deep end here. No, I don't think it. Look, I'm just going to go and dig a hole way too deep for me to get off. No, I don't think it's the mark of the beast. Nor were credit cards, nor were barcodes, nor was COVID vaccine, nor was every other fantastic theory that panicked and hyperventilated when something new was invented. Now, I'm not dismissing the toxicity of digital ID. I'm just saying, just stay sober. Just don't. This drunk language is just too much. Mark of the beast. Look, it might be a rehearsal for the mark of the beast. Well, can I jump in there and just say? No, you've got to let me dig myself out of the hole. No. I'll dig the hole a bit bigger for you. So, like my personal view, again, not CitizenGO's view, but like it's interesting. I watched this Tucker Carlson interview with a guy the other day who's a really in-depth occult researcher, and he's got a lot of ties into Hollywood. He come out of Hollywood in the television industry. He's got a lot of ties into big tech and Silicon Valley, and it's interesting that with blockchain and also the intersection between that and, say, central bank digital currencies and that there are a lot of serious people, so he was saying, in Silicon Valley that go, yeah, if you read that, what the mark of the beast is in the Bible, it completely correlates to what's being developed. Look, we're getting into very, very rabbit hole kind of theological stuff here. I love the rabbit holes. They are fun. And this is, guys, my point. I try and spend my time where it makes the most difference to the most people. And right here and now, we've got a genocide of 90,000 Australians a year being slaughtered in our clinics. And, there's real people dying every day from this stuff, and hundreds of them. It's appallingly urgent things that need to be done. And yes, we can walk and chew gum at the same time. So on this, I think there are many, many, many opportunities for us to resist and stand, where we as a human race and as a Western society in particular are being conditioned to get ready for the implementation of things like the mark of the beast. Certainly, COVID vaccine passports were one such rehearsal, where nobody could buy or sell or associate or travel without the right paperwork issued by the government. Like, so there's multiple opportunities where this is. So this should be resisted, and it should be a major concern. But and yes, it's heading in that direction. But no, I don't think this is the actual one.
I don't believe it is either, and I think that. But it's bad. It's an undermining of privacy. It will eventually lead to an undermining of freedom. And the security issues as well for people. So we're opposing it. We're opposing it quite forcefully. But boy, oh boy, when you look to see, you talk about globalist agendas, and again, people think, oh, that's conspiracy theory term. Well, why is every country in the world moving to digital ID? Because they begin for their writing orders by
conspiracy
the UN.
Theory. It's conspiracy fact.
Yeah, it is.
Conspiracies happen. It's not a theory. It's documented. It's advertised. It's flagged. I've got Klaus Schwab's book. I've read it. He told us what he wanted to do.
Yeah.
It's far from theory, and it is globalism. But globalism isn't a theory. It's a philosophy. It's people like this thing. Like nationalism's not a theory. It's a philosophy. We organize ourselves as nations, and they hate nations, want them erased, want everybody controlled centrally. It's far from a theory.
You make a good point. Well, look, again, that petition is petitioncampion.com. Actually, it's probably, I think I've got it in capitals there. I'm not sure whether it makes a difference.
No, it doesn't make a difference.
Someone has I've
just tested it. It works.
I found it difficult to get into. It's probably because you're putting the www before it. No www, just petitioncampion.com, and you should get to it. If you're not getting to it, simply go to CitizenGO.org, and I'll put that website up on screen because it's got many of our other petitions up there. If you want to join CitizenGO, there's a join us area there. Go to CitizenGO.org. Please do that now. If you haven't become a member already, it's free to join and be a member. You can donate if you want to do. And we're running many campaigns, and we're growing rapidly. And if you want to support Dave Pellowe's efforts, go to churchandstate.com.au. Tell us, before we drop off, tell us a bit about Church and State and what they're doing, David.
Awesome. So Church and State is a ministry growing into a movement that's essentially political discipleship. It's teaching people what God says about debated issues. It's the opposite of churches being afraid of politics, afraid of controversy, afraid of the things that are divisive. It's actually saying, well, yeah, truth is divisive, truth is exclusive, and if there's anything we should be robust about, it's what God says. It's humility in that we have confidence in what God says, not our own opinion. And the reason I believe so much of culture has gone to the dogs with the proliferation of so much moral insanity in this age is because we've rejected God. We've become illiterate of the Bible. And these are the fundamental building blocks of democracy and the ability for a society to self-govern.
Okay, quick interjection. Is nationalism dangerous?
Define nationalism.
Yeah.
The problem with your question is different people mean different things by nationalism. So if by nationalism, you mean some extreme version, then yeah.
State idolising the nation, I guess, or people idolising the nation.
Yeah. But I mean, all good things can be taken to an excess. So the Bible in Acts 17 talks about God creating both boundaries for nations as well as seasons. There's ages that are set for them to ascend and end. And he has purposes for doing that. He talks about seeking the welfare of the city and the place where you live so that you can have welfare. So you want the nation where you are to prosper so that you can prosper. So nationalism is fantastic if it's the antidote to globalism. Nationalism is a problem if you use it to oppress and hurt other people and other groups. If it's about maximizing liberty and justice and mercy and righteousness, then it's a good thing. But good things can be taken to an extreme.
So if you want to get involved in this effort that Dave is, churchandstate.com.au. But as I said again, if you want to get involved in some of the actions that we're taking to promote and defend life, family and freedom in Australia, go to CitizenGO.org. That's all we have time for during this live stream. We'll be back next month with another live stream. We'll hopefully have another politician on as a guest. Perhaps it could be Barnaby Joyce who's jumping ship, but by the looks of it,
that'd be a good one. I can't wait to see that.
But whoever it is, it'll be interesting, and please tune in. Thank you very much to the 750 plus people that have actually watched this live stream. Your support is amazing, and well, before we go, we've got one last minute. Catherine has asked a question, and I'm going to extend it just to get here it is. I think, given the success of Australian Christians Marika Grunwald in Western Australia, how can that be replicated in the harvest? That's a very good question. So, what do you reckon? Explain it first for the people that don't know what that's about.
Well, I tell you what. The Australian AC stands for Australian Christians. Marika Grunwald's a good friend. I respect her and love working with her. She supports, and the whole party has supported Church and State conferences in Perth for a number of years now. One of the successes they've had is that Marika has not been a seasonal candidate. She's not just run at every election, but she's been employed by her party as a person in the office full-time, non-stop between all of the elections. Mm-hmm. So she's been working at this non-stop for many, many years, but personally as well as the rest of the party. And so her constant presence, constant relationship with the community, constant connection with the issues as well as the politicians and other activists around Parliament. She really deserved to get a jersey in the current West Australian Parliament.
So how do you think that can be replicated elsewhere?
Well, it was probably not possible with the previous voting system, but Western Australia has just gone to a statewide quota. So for Marika or any Australian Christian minor party candidate to get enough of a percentage in any one smaller electorate for the upper house in Western Australia was probably too high a bar previously. But this election is the first one where Labor's changed the laws so that you only needed a portion of the entire state. And so it was a lot easier for all of those voters to... How can that be replicated?
Well, it can't be in Queensland because we don't have that system.
Yeah, correct.
It probably can be in some other states where they have upper houses, but they're not proportionality. They're also done, it's opaque. They're done by divisions too, but it's sort of...
If I can be a bit opinionated here, I think it can be replicated by voters not being so fickle as to follow the new shiny thing. There's a new party starting up all the time. Every 5 minutes, there's a new party. Somebody who says all the other parties are terrible, and the only solution is me starting a whole new party, and a bunch of people go with them. Like these people shouldn't be rewarded, but the people who should be rewarded are the stayers, the people who've been doing it, election in, election out, for 3 years, 5 years, 6 years, 10 years. The parties, Family First is one of them. The One Nation is one of them. Australian Christians is one of them. And they've been contesting these elections for a long time. I really, really think one of the major problems we have is voters. Forget the candidates. Everybody should be able to start a party, but it's the voters who follow the new shiny thing non-stop, instead of labouring to make what we have better.
Yeah, look, a good point and good note to end on. So thank you very much for that final question of the night. And again, if you want to be part of our efforts, CitizenGO.org, and you'll get the email about when our next live stream event will be on if you stay on our books. Thanks very much, and thank you to the almost 770 people that have joined us for the live stream. It is now 770 as we end it. So thank you, good night, and God bless.